Recently, the Karnataka state government headed by Siddaramaiah announced that rupees 100 crore would be allocated to the WAQF properties in the state of Karnataka. While this attracted much criticism from other political factions, this also stood in contrast to how the Congress government introduced the Karnataka Hindu Religious Institution and Charitable Endowments Amendment Bill that aimed to taxing temple revenue in the state. Let's keep the current affairs aside and let us focus on the word that draws ire, not just from political or right-wing organizations, but also from the common folks. The word called WAQF.
The Karnataka budget has now been released and
an allocation of 100 crores have been made for development of WAQF properties.
The Aam Aadmi Party MLA from Delhi's Okhla area, Amanatullah Khan, in the Delhi WAQF Board corruption case.
And close aide of Amanatullah Khan was arrested from Telangana.
The institution of WAQF is an exclusive feature of the Muhammadan law. To WAQF, people dedicate a movable or immovable property in the name of Allah for religious, pious, and charitable purposes. The donor is usually referred to as WAQF. The reason that the institution of WAQF is of such importance is because it serves double purposes. On one side, it satisfies human instinct for charity. On the other side, it makes provisions for the weaker section of society to prosper. Now let's talk in legal terms. It is a permanent devotion by a person professing Islam of any movable or immovable property to any purpose recognized by Muslim law as again pious, religious or charitable. A WAQF can be through a deed or an instrument, or a property can be deemed as WAQF if it has been used for religious or charitable purposes for a long period of time. The proceeds are typically used to finance educational institutions, graveyards, mosques and shelter homes, which are usually decided by the WAQF, the donor, while donating the same to the WAQF. A person creating the WAQF cannot revoke the property. Once declared, the WAQF would be a continuing entity. That means once a WAQF, always a WAQF. These properties thus donated and constituted are called awqaf in plural terms. A non-Muslim, if you are wondering, can also create a WAQF, but the individual must admit Islam and the objective of creating the WAQF has to be Islamic in nature. With this, we understand that it is like a charitable endowment and contributes to the progress of the Muslim community particularly, and of course the weaker sections through various means. Now let's come to understand how big is this religion. Islam is the second largest religion in India with about 14.2% of country's population. It roughly boasts of 172 million people identifying as adherents of Islam according to the 2011 census and is well spread across Indian states. By this, it can also be understood that different sections of the community contribute or donate in the WAQF for various reasons. All of these Muslims I'm particularly talking about. Now, the main purpose of this huge WAQF board universe is to serve the Muslim community in India. But even as the WAQF board has emerged as the third largest owner of land in the country, Indian Muslims are struggling on several socio-economic indicators, as you're all aware. WAQF owners today are India's largest urban landlords. But how rich is the WAQF in India? Let us know some details. WAQF properties are managed by the WAQF board, which is responsible for ensuring that the income generated by the property is used in accordance with the wishes of the WAQF or the donor and the Islamic principles. As of 2024, after the armed forces and the railways, the WAQF is the largest landowner in India. The armed forces owns almost 17.95 lakh acres of land in the country, and railways almost owns 4.86 lakh hectares of land in the country. The WAQF, with around 4 lakh registered properties and around 6 lakh acres of land, according to a joint parliamentary committee report headed by K. Rahman Khan in 2009 said. As of 2023, 8.6 lakh immovable properties were registered according to the press release of the PIB. Now, keeping this wealth of WAQF aside, let's go back a little in history. In 1954, the Jawaharlal Nehru government passed the WAQF Act, which led to the centralization of WAQFs, and under this act, the government established this Central WAQF Council in 1964. In 1995, the law was amended to allow the formation of WAQF boards in each state in India and of course the union territories as well. The Central WAQF Council serves as an advisory body to the center on matters related to WAQF properties, graveyards, mosques and others. Any dispute is decided by the WAQF Property Tribunal headed by a member of the state service and 2 other members, not necessarily Muslims. Some states like Bihar have separate Shia and Sunni WAQF board as well. Now, this Waqf Board come under the Article 30 enshrined in the Indian Constitution, which aims to protect the religious minorities in India. Justice Shashwat Kumar, who headed the Shashwat Committee, prepared a status report on Muslims in India in 2011. And the finding of this report was nationwide Waqf properties constitute a land bank worth rupees 1.2 lakh crores and could have generated an annual revenue of rupees 12,000 crores but yielded only 163 crores, and found that there was a severe shortage of senior government officers who are Muslim to manage Waqf affairs. A separate cadre would mean officers who are not only permanent but also qualified enough to manage the affairs of the Waqf were needed. Now, going forward, the Haryana Waqf Board registered an all-time high income of rupees 17.03 crores in 2010 and 2011, which is rupees 3.3 crores higher than the previous year. During the 2010-2011, the board spent rupees 3.3 crores on various educational and welfare activities. The board earmarked rupees 6.47 crores in the budget of 2011-2012 to meet the main objectives of Waqfs and various educational institutions and welfare activities. Back in 2013, according to the report published by India Today, Waqf properties in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Chennai and Bengaluru, which are tier 1 cities, were worth rupees 1.5 lakh crores, and this valuation is still on the lower side, claimed a top minority official was there in the Ministry of Minority Affairs. This is a conservative estimate. Kolkata alone has properties worth rupees 62,000 crores, and Delhi with 2,464 bighas, that is about 500 acres, is second with the same worth 28,000 crores to rupees 30,000 crores. Hyderabad is much ahead in land area, but evaluators seem to have given a very conservative estimate for 7,000 acres of land, including built-up properties over the same. The valuation is just 23,000 crores as reported by a senior official. Again, adding, he also said, even other three are the range of 4,000 crores to 9,000 crore rupees. Going back to 2021, an issue came up wherein we saw a mazar or a grave or a tomb reach the top of a flyover in Delhi. We know that once a property is deemed a Waqf, like I told you, it comes under the Waqf Board forever, right? So the Waqf Board has been accused of acquiring lands and public spaces by making them Waqfs. This is a primary allegation against them. If someone creates a mazar or a mosque somewhere and it becomes a place for the religious worship, then the Waqf Board can declare that property as Waqf. If you're looking at this viral video, there was a mazar built on the flyover and the Maulvi claimed that it had been there for generations. Precisely as claimed, the mazar was built back in 1982, hence the place of worship for a long time. The SHO, Mr. Bharadwaj, also said that the religious committee has been looking into this, but the mazar is built on the Azadpur flyover. Construction finished in 2010, according to the Public Works Department in Delhi. While the mazar was removed after many years of question and answer, the question before us is, how well can Waqf Board serve the interests of Muslims and how has it done in the past? Let's find out. Keeping the wealth of these bodies aside, the dismal performance of Waqf Boards raises a question about the purpose of these institutions. And of course, Waqf properties are not generating enough profit for the community, and there have been several allegations of corruption and mismanagement against them. Now, this is a phenomena since independence.
The purpose of the Waqf Board is to serve the community. So why these resources are not helping basically Muslims?
Amna Begum Ansari, a columnist with the print, writes that each state has its own story to tell. From Uttar Pradesh to West Bengal, she mentions how in September 2022, AAP MLA Amanatullah Khan, back then the Waqf Board chairman, was arrested for alleged misappropriation of Waqf funds and other irregularities. These are just examples that show how the Waqf has become a tool to serve the interests of the elite Muslims, and ordinary Indian Muslims get nothing out of it. While she highlights the role of Ashraf Muslims and the Pasmandas, I would like to say that elite, well-connected and educated class of Muslims have been serving their own interest by using their contacts and entitlement, and the marginalized Muslims stay the same. They don't get anything out of it. Like all the other Muslim institutions in India, Waqf Boards have negligible participation of tribals or the backward Muslims coming from smaller cities and seeking representation. Common Muslims also bear the brunt of reactions coming from other communities over special privileges given to the Waqf Board by the 1995 Act, without realizing the fact that Waqf Board is here to make their lives better and not sit quietly when a ruling member of parliament called them puncture walas. No other minority group has so much land for the place of worship. In fact, the Hindu temples and their land still belongs to the state. Additionally, Waqf making claims on other lands only adds to their fault lines among communities and affects the Muslims more than anyone else. In 2012, a major scam came to light, the Karnataka WAQF Board land scam, alleged misappropriation of 2,000 billion in Indian property funds made public by the report submitted to the Karnataka State Minorities Commission back in 2012. In March 2012, Anwar Manipadi, the chairman of the Karnataka State Minorities Commission, submitted a report to the Chief Minister of Karnataka, D.V. Sadananda Gowda back then, which alleged that 27,000 acres of land controlled by the Karnataka WAQF Board had either been misappropriated or allocated illegally. Now look at the gravity of this situation. The value of the land has been estimated at rupees 2 trillion, which is much more in today's situation. But keeping all this aside, what is the situation of common Indian Muslims today? I'm sure everybody is aware of this. Apart from the stereotype and the looming threat of legislations like CAA, NRC and the UAPA, the Sachar Committee report in 2006 was the first of its kind to reveal the backwardness, a term used in Indian academic and legal discourse for historically dispossessed or economically vulnerable communities, not meant to be prerogative of the Indian Muslims. An issue highlighted was that while Muslims constitute 14% of the Indian population, they only comprise 2.5% of Indian bureaucracy. The Sachar Committee concluded that the conditions facing Indian Muslims were below those of the SCs and the ST communities. The Sachar Committee brought the issue of Indian Muslim inequality to the national attention, speaking of a discussion that is still going on today. According to Maidul Islam, in an interview with The Wire, he speaks about how the socio-economic status of Indian Muslims is today. The situation of Muslims in India is dismal as far as the socio-political and marginalization of the community is concerned. In the recent past, the process of marginalization and insecurity among the Indian Muslims has been a result of a series of things like mob lynching incidents in the name of the cow, vigilantism, targeting Muslim youth in the name of love jihad, and low-scale communal riots in various parts of the country. There are also credible studies showing the denial of housing to Muslims in non-Muslim localities, aggravating the process of ghettoization of the community. Moreover, the underrepresentation of Muslim minorities in the Indian Parliament after the 2014 elections has reached an all-time low now. On parameters like literacy, mean years of schooling, the percentage of graduates, Muslim scheduled castes and scheduled tribes lag behind upper caste Hindus, the Hindu OBCs and other religious minorities. There is a higher degree of landlessness among the Muslims than any other social group in India, while Muslims are second to Dalits in small land holdings, which is a major problem affecting our farming as a particular occupation. Both Dalits and Muslims are lagging behind on any other social group on count of land ownership, average land possession, average land cultivation as well. In many cases, the socio-economic situation has worsened due to the burden of socio-political marginalization and increasing of prejudices in the context of growing trend of Islamophobia. At the time, the tragedy of Indian Muslims is that there is a sustained level of neglect towards the socio-economic issues of the community. The lack of progressive leadership among the Muslim community in India has traditionally meant that the problems of Indian Muslims have been restricted to the issues of identity, fatwas against controversial authors and so on, and security like immunity from communal violence. In effect, the visible conservative leadership among Indian Muslims has not been passionate enough to articulate the demands of equity like modern education, health, income, employment, so on and so forth. So my question to all of those watching this video is, when was the last time you heard the name of the WAQF Board? Probably when there was a scam or there was a new appointment or money allocated or something like that. What is stopping these wealthy revenue generating bodies from intervening in the problems that are plaguing the community today, and of course in the socio-economic problems of the Indian Muslims, while they are generating so much of wealth and they are probably stuffing in their own pockets? What are your thoughts on this video? Please tell us in the comment section. It takes a lot of time for us to research and bring out such content for you. We hope that you like it. You share it among the people to show the stark reality of the Indian Muslims today. Thanks for watching.